Welcome to Autism Me Goodness. My name is Tiffany, back with another episode for you. Yeah, getting sillier. So you can see a little dog walking by. He's cool. He's good people. Anyway, this episode wanted to just go back to a post that I saw on Reddit. And also a question that I get kind of often, well, not often, on and off here and there about kind of schools and public schools. So I'll read the post that I saw on Reddit, and then I'll just kind of go through and discuss just kind of off the top of my head here. Not a lot of prep today, so you're good. Who knows what you're gonna get? So let's go. Let's dive right in. Okay. So this post on the autism parenting group on Reddit, it says the title is there an alternative to public school for kids on the spectrum? My kid is on the spectrum, and I've never felt he's been so misunderstood in my life. I get he has high needs, but the school made me feel so insignificant. They basically said to me, public school systems aren't made for special needs kids. And so with the high amount of special kids we don't have resources or support to really accommodate, which I get to some extent, but also, what would you like me to do about that? Sorry, I need to vent. I just feel like no one gets me. Okay. So, um, public school. So James has always been to a public school, in a public school system. Never went to special education or like a private school. Um, and we've been very fortunate to have a school district or be within. This is our second school district with him. Where we've had an amazing support system within that school district. Like they really help explain the IEP process. They've really set a high standard for us for our IEP process and setting him up with resources and providing different, outlets, programs, recommendations. Like we've been very fortunate. However, I know there are a lot of parents who are not fortunate for whatever reason. Results may vary depending on that school district. And the first thing I'll say is so, one, regardless of your child's abilities, they have a right to an education, point blank. So it's a matter of making sure that the school can accommodate them, or I'm sorry, making sure the school will accommodate them. So, if that school is saying they don't have the resources, they technically got to get them, which is why you demand that the school does an IEP. And I've heard stories about where people who've clearly had kids with special needs, where the school will refuse to do an IEP. Because pretty much what IEP does, it holds them accountable. It's a document that lists out, these are the things that my child needs in order to be able to have a proper education. These are the things you've agreed to work with them on. This is the amount of time you have to spend on working on those particular things each week. These are the support aids he needs, whether it be like modified tests, where there be like more time reading something, like having things read aloud, whether or not they need like a tablet to communicate, um, calculators for math classes, whatever those things are. Um, it all goes in the IEP, and it is a document that holds the school accountable of things that that child needs in order to be able to have a proper education. Um, I don't know. I can get on so many soapboxes right now, but I don't know why it's so different, widely different by school district. Like it's like you're. I think sometimes they want to make us feel like, and when I say us, special needs parents, like we're almost bothering them by asking for just basic rights. Our child, like the right to an education. So now I understand if you have a child that is violent, disruptive, there's a back and forth with that, right? So there's things that the parent definitely has to do to be able to make sure that child is safe to themselves and others if they are in school, 100%. And that would also go in IEP as well. So and they would have a plan, because years ago when James was acting out. This was, of course, early in our journey. There was in part of his IEP where it was trying to remember what it was called, but it was like basically the plan. I'll be a little incorrect, politically incorrect. The plan if he flips the fuck out. So basically, if he has like a meltdown situation where they can't control him, this is the procedure that they would follow in order to be able to help calm him down. So what it was is they would remove him from whatever the situation was. They had like a room, that was part of the resource room, but it was like a quiet room. They would put him in the quiet room, have someone monitor him and kind of turn the lights down, like keep him calm, like so the kind of basically uh try to de-escalate the situation. And like they would have to write a report if that ever happened, uh what happened that he had to go in there, how was he acting while he was in there, how long was he in there, what else, and then what happened after, like when, so what, how was he after he was in there, was he fine, did he still need some more attention. So that was, he only had to they only had to hit the panic button like that one time for him. And which again, I'm fortunate, but I know that there are children that needs a little bit more, but that's all part of your IEP. And if you have a child that has the, like, you're also doing something else to help combat those things as well. It's a partnership between the school and the parents. So there shouldn't be a reason that they can't provide an education for your child outside of those factors. So I don't know, and there was no like follow up for this particular one, but I definitely feel the frustration. Um the closest I would say that I had come to someone at a school not really trying to, I wouldn't say not really going with the IEP, but like trying to almost make us feel like different in a very segregated way. Um there was a teacher he had in, was it third? Yeah, I think it was third grade. Third grade, he had a general education teacher. So the way his program was set up in elementary school and then middle school and then high school. He had a like the teacher that was a part of his autism program that basically facilitated everything. But then part of his IEP, he would go to general education mainstream classes and for certain subjects. And he had a general education teacher over there, and so they would partner together to work with James like on different things. They would if there's an assignment, they'd figure out how if it needed to be modified for him to be able to complete it. If there's any tests, does he need extra support to do those tests? He always would have a parapro go with him to general education class to help, like, as an aide, work with him on things. This particular teacher, she was one of those teachers. She had been teaching for a long time. She's an older lady. And like how when you meet someone, you get a feeling that something about you I don't quite like, but I can't put my finger on it. And I'm usually not that person, but it was just something about her demeanor when I first met her. So um yeah, so it was a situation where there was a book that she assigned the class to read, and she wouldn't give him, like I've said before, he's always been a great reader. It's just a matter of him being able to understand whether or not he comprehends. It's always been the comprehension, but he can read anything. So when it would be a reading assignment, she would purposely have him sit to the side during the reading assignment, not include him with the class. And James was never disruptive or anything, so I didn't understand why she was doing that. So I'd asked, like, why are you doing that? Well, they'll handle his stuff over there. Where's over there? Because he's in school. Over there. She would refer to the program as the over there. But you're his teacher too. He's in your class to learn this subject. He's a student in your class, and I believe per your syllabus that every student has the right to learn the material. He's your student, so why isn't he included in this lesson? Is there something that happened? Well, no, they'll take care of that. They take care of that. So yeah, so I've had to step in, and the reason why that even happened in the first place is that a few things were happening that year. He got a new teacher in his autism program. She's a younger, newer teacher. She was new to the program. So she's new, so she's trying to figure it out. Then you got this older teacher who's very intimidating, not to me, but intimidating to the younger teacher. And so they're both trying to like figure each other out, but in the middle is my son, who is just a student that needs to learn. So I had to like, get a little bit nice nasty, a little bit up in there a few times, like, no, I had to challenge her on a few things. Because and then we got to a point, I want to say halfway through the school year, where she was starting to get it. Because I don't think, and I don't know how this ever happened, she never had a student with autism before. Or I don't know if I don't know if it was a matter of she never had a student with autism, or she never had an autism mom like me before. So it might have been that. So, because I don't, nah, that's not what we're about to do. He in your class, he gonna be in your class. You gonna teach him. If you're not gonna teach him, let's get him out your class and get somebody else. Because that is the only incident I've ever had with a special education teacher throughout the years. They've always been amazing. I've never had an issue. I'm like Facebook friends with some of his general education teachers, special education. Like we've always, because it's a partnership. Like, I help support at home. You tell me what you need him to work on. We're gonna reinforce it at home. If something's going on at school that you need me to jump in, I will drop everything and come up to that school and make sure we're addressed or get on the phone. So that you got to support your teachers. But if we have a teacher that's just blatantly not including him in things, it was like the reading assignment. It was a couple other things that she was like excluding him from purposely, and it made no sense because according to the IEP, this is the time he's supposed to be in here learning these particular subjects. If there's something that needs to be modified, you need to work with his autism program teacher to modify it for him, and making sure, because every student has a right to an education. So if you're excluding him, then, and I try not to, I'm gonna get real deep. I really try not to, because we live in a district where it's not a lot of people that look like us, if you know what I mean. So, or that particular district and the current district. And so I try not to do the, oh, it's because we're black thing. But it was like, it really wasn't even that. It was specifically, he had autism, and oh, I don't want to be dealing with that. I don't have time to deal with that. That's how it came across. And she kind of said that in so many words in her delivery. So, but yeah, by the time, I want to say halfway through the school year, we got her together. So because we're not doing that. So yeah. So you just have to. So in this particular situation, you have rights as a parent, and your child has a right as a student. If your child has special needs and they need IEP, it doesn't have to be autism. If they have things that, like, whether it be ADHD or whatever, you have a right to ask for an IEP based on those particular grounds, and they need to figure out how to support your child. If you're having issues with the school district to help you, or be able to support you in getting an IEP set up for your child, there are advocacy groups that can help you. Um, there, if you look up, I haven't used any personally, but I know people who have. If you look up IEP support or IEP advocacy groups in your area, there are tons of them. This is one of those things that they just don't tell you as a special needs parent. It's stuff you just got to find out on your own. That they can help you, basically, fight on your behalf. If you like, I ain't got the bandwidth, I don't even know what to say, what to do. They can help, you know, provide you with the right words, the right language, the right support to be able to help you. They will even come to the IEP meetings with you and like kind of be on your team and help, facilitate. So you have rights. There's not a reason why they can't be supported. Um yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just trying to think of why is it that we have to like ask to be treated like human beings? Like why? I mean, it's not my child's fault or another child's fault that they have autism. It's just that's just who they are. And like I said, if it's a situation where they're like violent, okay, that's different. But you still have to work towards a place. Like, how do we help them with this so that they can get to a point where they can be educated? Because we got to still educate them. Like, we can't just lock them away. If, like, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But I just feel like, you shouldn't just discard them. Um, and I see a lot of that, especially in the state that I'm in Michigan. Like, there's like the experience that you get across districts is just wildly different. And there are districts, I'm not going to call them by name, that are considered world class districts in our state, but with special education, not so much. So people will question, well, why did you move to XYZ city? Well, the special education program is pretty phenomenal. I don't know about the general education program. Special education program is phenomenal. But like, I'm fortunate now that we're in a district that both are great, both are world class. We get amazing services, but I don't know why it should be wildly different between the two. And then and I know I mentioned before how in Michigan there's no, but like you have to pretty much choose at some point if your child is going to go on a path to get a high school diploma as a special needs parent, go on the path of getting a high school diploma or the certificate of completion, because they cannot meet the requirements that are set forth to get a high school diploma. And of course, we had to choose the certificate of completion. That's even a thing where it's like there are some states where they have a path to a high school diploma for particular special needs students. Like, I'd be curious to see what that looks like because, like I just said, everyone has a right to an education. But with a certificate of completion, it's like, what can they really do with that? So now we're going through all these things where we're trying to figure out how to make them employable. Like, you know, there should be a situation where when you have college fairs for students that are neurotypical, there should be some type of fair, adult transition fair, if you will, to talk through your options and figure out what makes sense for someone with special needs based on their abilities and like lay them out for you. A lot of this stuff that I'm talking about that I've went through, it's been just me trial and error, me being lucky enough to have a supportive school district to kind of give me the resources, but there's no playbook. Like, you're kind of just figuring it out, man. And this is why I wanted to do this. Like, other than people bugging me saying you should start a podcast, but like, I this is why I wanted to do this because no one's talking about this stuff. Like, why? Because there's so many kids, adults that are going through this, and like nobody wants to talk about it. We just want to we just want to sweep them aside. We just want to discard them. We don't want to worry about it. We don't worry about something else. We don't worry about these guys. Why should we worry about them? Oh, somebody will figure it out. Who's figuring it out? And and if they're not fortunate enough to have parents who love and care them, then what happens to them? Like, who takes care of these people? Like that. These are the type of things that I like to hear about from our public officials. Like, what happens to these people? This this is not a thing that's ever going to go away. You will always have special needs. It's always been people with special needs since the beginning of time. Like, this has always been a thing. It's always going to be a thing because of just it just happens, genetics. Like, what do you do about it? And a public school system not being able to help provide for them is just a travesty. if it's a matter of resources, well, who we got to call to get the resources because they got to get education. You're paying for you're paying taxes to a school district that you can't get the education from. It's like it's crazy. So, and no one's gonna pay for your private school for you. So, what do you do? I don't know. I just think it's wild. Okay, I got one more from Reddit that's school related that I happen to come across. So this is a long one, so saddle up. It's titled "Our School Failed Our Child." My partner has a child on the spectrum. We'll call him O. I've been in O's life for almost 3 years, and my partner and his ex-wife have split custody. We have the kids every other day: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and until 8 Sunday, despite Sunday being Mom's Day. I, the primary caretaker at our house, am the primary caretaker at our house despite not having my own kids. O, who is 7, is diagnosed at level 3, a developmental delay, and is nonverbal, walked out of school yesterday and no one knew. Not one of his 3 teachers knew my child was missing, and it was extremely out of character for O as he is pretty routine. I am losing my mind over sending him back. I feel so many big emotions and I have no way to express them because at the end of the day, I'm not his biological mom. I will not be the one who is going to be at the meeting that is now going to happen. I'm just a bystander. I have no idea how to be a bystander. I want to rage. I want to yell at his mom and my partner for not seeing this as an emergency that should be taken care of the day it happened. I want to never let him out of my sight. He could have gotten lost. He could have been hit by a car, seriously injured, or killed. He could have been kidnapped. And his bio parents just seemed like it's not a big deal since nothing happened. Edit. My partner is significantly less emotional than I am. He's waiting to rage at the school now that the meeting is set, which I will be going to. Okay, so first of all, wow. Definitely something you don't want to hear about your child's missing because at school they're supposed to be safe. Autism parents, neurotypical kids parents, you don't want to hear about your kids missing at school because, like, yeah, that's the one place they're supposed to be safe. Um, I do have a related story. So, I think this was 5th grade. Um, James, so he goes to school regularly. Because both me and James Senior work, his school has a after school daycare program. Um, or had an after school daycare program. Um, so and for years he's done it, no problem. He'd go in the morning. He like because we drop him off early before we go to work at daycare. When daycare's up, he just walks over to his class. He's walked over to his class after school. He just walks. It's all in the same building, so it's not he has to even switch building. It's all in the same building. They just go to pretty much the gym for the daycare part, and they kind of play and just hang out or whatever. Not a lot, whole lot of structure, a little bit of structure, not a whole lot of structure. So I guess one day he got mad about something with one of the daycare workers, and I think he said something to the effect and said, "I'm out of here," and walked out of the school. So I think it was I'm sorry, I'm just trying to recollect the memory, but it wasn't he wasn't gone long at all. And they knew he walked out and immediately went to get him. But before that point, I had never in my wildest dream thought he would ever like just walk out of school. Granted, they knew immediately when he walked out, they got him back in immediately. But just the thought of him being comfortable enough to just bolt out of the school, um, just really gave me pause. It just it was just not a good feeling at all. And this particular situation that they're talking about, um, they are doing the right thing. And I can understand her being like, a bonus mom, not a biological mom, not in the mix, and just kind of being a bystander. And I feel like, first of all, it is amazing that, her being a bonus mom, her jumping in to support the child, her partner's child is amazing because it's hard, and it's hard. You have to just really, those people always have a special place in my heart. They just kind of take people on and just, care and support and love them like their own. It's just always amazing to me. Um, but I feel like it's like I said, it's hard for her to be a bystander. I think all she can really do is be supportive and make sure that her partner is getting the answers that they need about the situation and getting clear direction, information about steps that would be taken that it would never happen again and it's not possible. So understanding how it happened, what the circumstances were, how it could happen, and then the game plan of how to never happen it, make it happen again is key because I just don't understand how that could because there's so many people. Well, I guess in my situation, there's so many people watching James all the time. It got to the point in elementary school, the kids were like watching him like that. So if he had a meltdown at school, it was a good example. It was actually for an after school program. Like when they reach a certain age, for some reason, they decide they want to teach them a recorder for whatever reason. So he was a part of that. So he brought his recorder home. It was in the bottom of his book bag. And then it was time for getting ready for the program. And I was kind of sitting off to the side when I dropped him off his classroom and I just went and sat down waiting for it to start. And then like three kids came up to me and says, "I'm sorry, hello, Mrs. Jones. James's mom? Yes, we have a situation right now. James has misplaced his recorder. We need to find it immediately. He's upset, he's distressed. We have someone calming him down." These were the kids. So like it got to the point the kids were like all over it. I have several pictures of, situations where the kids have jumped in and are like taking care of him. So it's like so many eyeballs were on him. So I couldn't imagine that happening. But he did walk out, but they knew immediately to get him back. But I say all that to say, like, I don't understand how that happens when usually so many eyeballs are on these kids. So something like, is it like, usually they, especially if he's not verbal, where was his parapro? Like, there's a lot of answers that need to be had because usually these kids have parapros. So, like, how would that even how could that even happen? We need to walk through that whole scenario and pinpoint where the breakdown was and like make sure we isolate that and make sure that never happens again. And you have to walk me through the plan of what you've done to address that. I think as part of that supportive school system, you need to make sure that you have these contingency plans in place because some of these kids could escape on you. And I just don't understand with so many checks and balances in play how that happens. You have usually in this situation, you have a parapro, like you have the teacher, the parapro. Actually, if your kid usually has a parapro, but then there's other parapros with other kids, like, so nobody saw him leave, or I just don't understand. So just make sure that they have that all buttoned up and give you an answer that you're satisfied with. And I would personally make some type of formal complaint to the district just to have it on record. I mean, hate to like rat people out, but this is my child I'm talking about, and you can't explain to me what happened and how it happened. Um, I, we need to just have this documented because this can't happen to him or any other kid ever. I think the important thing that some people are commenting about this particular situation is that, and I don't think I mentioned it before, even with the situation with his teacher, it's you have to be when you talk to people at the school. I never take the approach of going in guns a blazing, like not literal guns a blazing, but like going in like just erratically like yelling and going off on them. I that has never been my approach with dealing with anyone in school, even with the teacher that I talked about that he had in third grade. I never go in like that. I'm always calm. I'm always cordial, but in that situation, I'm firm. And that was like one of the responses here. You can't go in there. Your child is going to still be at that school more than likely. So I always take the approach is that I don't want to be the I always want people to have a favorable opinion of me and a favorable opinion of my child. So, and I want to be easy to work with, and I want to be reasonable, and I want to be a good partner. That's how I approach my relationships with teachers and the school district and the school. So I just always take that approach with everything I do, regardless if I'm not satisfied with something. I don't come off like that because I already know being a teacher in itself, just for like general education, is hard. When you add special education on top of that, and that's your focus, that's extremely hard. Like seriously. So I try to be mindful of that too. But like I said, it's about staying calm, being cordial, but still being firm. Like with the teacher in third grade, it's like, yeah, when I say I got her together, we didn't have it. Like she would have never known I was like mad. I just basically stated, I recited to her like y'all want to make sure he's included. This is important to him to be included. I don't want him excluded if there's a situation where he can't do it, or like we got to work through that and figure out a way that he can. Like I'm a partner. I'm always going to be a partner with my school. I just I don't feel it's ever productive to go in just screaming at school officials. Um, Now it's different if somebody did something to your child, but we're talking about trying to work on solutions to keep your child safe, educate your child. Like generally dealing with the school, I don't approach it that way. I'm calm but firm, and cordial. Um, I just want to make sure that they're supported properly, um, so that they can support me, and I want them to always have a favorable opinion of me and my child. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I care too much about what people think, but I just feel it's important that usually just by human nature, like if you're gonna want to deal with and you're gonna want to work with people who are easy to work with. And if you have someone that's difficult to work with, you're probably not going to be having a favorable opinion with them to want to work with them, or you probably don't want to engage with them because they're difficult. So, yeah. So you make sure you don't want to lose your cool. You want to make sure you keep it even keel as much as possible because you don't want to be that parent. Or I'll speak, but I don't want to be that parent. But yeah, you want to make sure you're getting those answers, but going off like how this person said she's in a rage. This is why she shouldn't go to that meeting. Not because she's not a biological parent. Like you don't want to go in rage mode. Like that's just not the way, unfortunately. Um, I know some people operate that way that they feel, but like when you're dealing with school and school officials, not a good idea. Just saying. Okay, here's another one. Um, Has anyone else had to fight the school district just to get their child's needs met? My daughter had to repeat kindergarten. She has autism, but the school refuses to put that as her diagnosis, saying their tests didn't reach that conclusion. I have her diagnosed from a doctor, but they will not take it. They upped her time, but she seems to need more help. It doesn't seem like enough help. The teacher writes notes every day on stuff we need to work on, but when we work on it, she already knows the answers. She just has a lot of problems doing the schoolwork. I talked to someone who is going to help maybe fix her IEP, but the school just seems to be dragging their feet and actually helping her. I don't know, I'm just frustrated. So I talked about getting an advocate. So anytime the school is giving you an issue with your IEP, um, and you're documenting what you make sure you document what you want addressed in the IEP, what you need changed in the IEP, what you don't agree with. Document that. Document it. And if they're still pushing back on you, saying no, can't do it, or dragging their feet, get an advocate. Get somebody in here. Get a third party. Get an advocate to help you, because like I said before, they will evaluate them for services, but if there's clearly documented issues, concerns, special needs with the child, they should have IEP. You should have that in your arsenal, or that should be something documented with the school that they have. Sorry, dogs on the floor. I've talked to many people who are in well-to-do cities here in Michigan, like wealthy cities in Michigan, and are struggling. Like, they have a special needs program, but some of the things that I've experienced and talked about, like, it's like new information. They've never heard of any of those things because their district never provided them with that information. So they're just kind of, it's like they have special needs and they're just like kind of going through the motions. So with no real plan for those students, which is also sad. But you want to make sure that you have a plan. It's clear, it's concise. If you want to, if something changes and you want to reevaluate it, you have that right to bring that up, document that. Because if something changes, like say for example, something changes behaviorally with your child, and you say, I'm noticing these behavioral changes that's impacting how they do things at school, or impacting how they process things at school, what have you, you have a right to go back and amend the IEP. It's not like set in stone. You can have an amendment to the IEP. You have a right to do that. So you just want to make sure that's documented, and they know exactly what you're looking for. You have their response in writing. Um, but yeah, you have to get advocate, unfortunately, if they're not giving you a hard time. And there are some like nonprofit groups that do help with advocacy. I believe the ARC of Oakland County provides advocacy for IEP. Um, Now, while I say they're nonprofit groups, I know with the ARC, because they helped us actually put together our paperwork for guardianship. Um, they have, their fee is basically you get a membership for the ARC, but it's less than what you'd probably pay for like maybe a lawyer or something like that. So they can be a resource to help you try to whether they provide the advocacy service themselves, or they can steer you in the right direction to get an advocate for you for the IEP. Definitely something worth checking out. But don't just feel that what you're getting is it, because like I said, I'm explaining to you all the things I get at a public school district, and all the service I've gotten through a public school district. There's not a reason why everyone shouldn't be getting that. It's just a matter of whether or not that district puts a focus on our children. So you want to make sure that you're in a district that puts a focus, and if you're not, then you got to work a little harder to make sure that they get what they deserve. So I think I'll leave it there. If there's any particular questions about schools or IEPs, or just any general advocacy questions, please, please, please drop them in the comments. Please like and subscribe. But I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this has been helpful. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.